again to another episode of SimpleCast with your host Cam. Nice to though. Thank you to those who tuned in again, and those who may have seen the others or listened to the other episodes. Today we're gonna have an interesting topic ahead of us to speak on. I'm pretty excited about because it actually begins with the same letter as an interesting, and that is investing. On average, whenever the word investing comes to mind, it's automatically assumes that you're speaking about money. Today, however, we're talking about mental investing. This mental investing can be basically about the mind or the brain. Um, and I feel I've spoke about this in tidbits in other episodes as well. It's not necessarily a continuation. It's just, I guess, breaking some of those pieces more in depth, more further explanations of those. So, in a sense, today, yeah, we're gonna talk about investing in others, investing in ourselves, things of that nature. So, what we're gonna begin with is simply about basically, yeah, internal and external investing. So, when you're talking about internal and external investing, this can be things such as internal, which basically means within you, within yourself, and external could be those, either loved ones or just people around you in a sense. And I'm not saying people don't already do this, but for those of you that have never really, you may have not been told or this or that, well, here you go, in a sense. So, investing can also involve basically community investment in a sense. Community investment basically means you just invest and put into those people around you in a sense, whether it could be personally or professionally, family members or coworkers, colleagues, classmates, you name it. It can be any of the above that I just named. In a sense, we're all a community, and sometimes some people may lose sight of that, and it's okay. You can only do as much as what you put in a sense. But basically, I think that investing is something that I'm not going to say I don't really see too much more of anymore. I just, of some of the research I've done and some of the speakers over the days and just over the times that I've listened to, they seem to like to dig into this topic as well, as they basically say, well, I mean, we have to put into this. And a big thing about investment, well, especially mental investment, just like with money, is simply about trust. And sometimes it can be fear as well, which is okay because in a sense though, in my opinion, the thing about when it comes to mental investing as opposed to monetarily investing, and you can correct me on this if you want to, but in my opinion, one has a much higher risk factor than the other. Whereas you have a 90% chance of being more successful with mentally investing, whether it be in yourself or someone else, rather than, that doesn't necessarily mean just because you tell yourself, oh, I'm going to get the job, it's going to happen. But either way, you're going to walk away from that with something built in you, even if you don't realize it at first. It's going to be there. So whether that be satisfaction that you actually went forward with it, you got an answer, this or that, you grew from that somehow. And at first, it may not hit you that way. The first feeling you're gonna feel is disappointment, of course. However, that disappointment is going to eventually translate and transition into an experience that you've had, which you can use for further decisions that you decide to make in the future. But in addition to that, as I was saying, Well, with monetary investing, in a sense, that can go either way. I mean, things happen. The economy changes. It goes up and down. We know how that goes. Stocks, businesses, companies. Anything of that nature. It happens in a sense. Whereas with mentally investing, I mean, you tell somebody to do something good with their life, or you tell somebody to do well, or this or that. Well, how much can that really hurt you personally? It really. I'm not gonna say it can't, but you never know. It could honestly possibly benefit the both of you. But in a sense, sometimes fear may be the driving force into that, which we may resist or just decide that maybe it's just not the best thing. And that's understandable because, like I said, I mean, sometimes that's just how it is. However, we're going to get into the definition of investing. I kind of, after researching it, I kind of tweaked it a little bit to kind of fit exactly the scope of the conversation that we're having today. And it's basically the action or process of investing for profit or results. Now you can throw money or any other focal point into that definition if you would like to, but basically that's what it is. The process basically is prolonged action, um, because it's a series of actions that take place. It's kind of like an experiment that's being conducted. Whereas, actions, of course, a single action, and basically like a movie or a video to a photo in a sense. And you're basically just investing for profit or result. But here's the thing. When I thought about this, I was thinking, well, I mean, one could say, so I'm only putting into a person just to reap a reward for myself. Well, it can be seen as that in the beginning, in a sense. I can understand that because that's how I looked at it too. Is that basically, I mean, well, like I said, this definition, there's other definitions of it as well, but in a sense, I kind of look at it more as a lead by example. If you can, put into somebody and then you go off and or put into yourself and then you go off and do something good for yourself. Next thing you know, I mean, it depends on how you look at it. Your outlook on life. It depends in a sense. They can think, well, okay, so this person's only telling me this just so I can be this for them or whatever. But truth be told is, well, be successful together. I mean, like, I think that I've had plenty personal investments within myself, both external forces and internal forces, and they have both worked for the best in a sense. And I can honestly say it's worth it, as investments is not something that happens overnight. It's something that you have to put into, and kind of like an input output type of chart, except as soon as you put in, you get something out. When it comes to investing, I mean, if you want to reap positive rewards, it's not necessarily something that's going to occur instantly or a rapid change. It's going to be more of something that happens over a period of time, in a sense. So, kind of decided I'd make it a PSA, public service announcement. In a sense, I've had conversations with people about this, talks about it, saying, well, what about, this, and that, and I'm just thinking, well, I mean, that's a great way to look at it, in a sense. And, I wish that things were probably placed better, in a sense, for that person. However, I mean, sometimes it can just start with you. You don't necessarily have to look for somebody to. That's why I'm saying internally. You don't necessarily have to look for that external force. That's the only thing that can drive you. Sometimes you can begin it in yourself, and others can see it within you, and then all of a sudden, they want to duplicate that for themselves. Sometimes it just takes that leader and that leadership and example for everyone else. And that's just how things get started. And another thing that I actually wanted to bring up was a situation or a story that I read about a while back with a professional sports team. It was actually a professional basketball team. And this young man that was on the team, maybe he's not exactly a star player, but he began to do well for the team, and it was quite impressive to everybody to watch him begin to flourish after he decided to kind of come out of his shell and decided to shine. But what I read about was how after he began to do such things and to make such an impact in the game for his team, he now has somebody who is personally on his side who decided to say, well, the reason why he didn't begin this or he wasn't doing this in the first place was because the coach did not make him make it to where he could believe in himself. He did not invest in him. And I had many mixed beliefs or many mixed thoughts about that. And I just started to think, well, I mean, I understand that. I've always kind of wondered what was really the role of a coach in a professional setting, such as a professional sports team. But in my head, I said, okay, well, maybe that. It's possible. Okay, that could be one of the things. Another thing that lurked in my mind was that, well, how did he get there? This isn't college ball. This isn't high school ball. He had to shine somewhere or had to believe in himself somewhere to get there to begin with, right? That's just my spin on it. But, it wouldn't hurt, to put some further encouragement into him. But it's like, well, is that really the angle that we want to take on this? But I can understand where your concerns may lie with that. And with that being said, his teammates, they put into him because, in a sense, when it comes to certain sports like that, you can have, they have something referred to as scorers, in a sense, or, like your star players. Whereas they can, they, you can have maybe two or three scorers or two scorers on your team that are on the floor at the time. And it's already been made a plan that nobody else is going to score the basketball or even take a shot, possibly, other than those two or three designated guys. And that's it. However, the thing about it is, once that possession is done and you have to go back on defense, now everybody that is on the floor is now a target in a sense. So the object, of course, is to isolate the ones that aren't the stars, the ones that the other team, the opposing team, does not depend on. It is to basically say, okay, well, that's your star players. Well, why would we want to get them involved? Our goal is to win, not go up against them. So they're going to go target those players that may not be as, that the team may have not invested as much into, and they're going to take that. It's basically like trick plays in a sense. So I say all that to say, you, when it comes to whether professionally or personally, you have to like uplift those that may be considered the weaker links or the weakest links, because eventually you may have to depend on those links or those pieces to the puzzle in order to not, you know, lose the game or lose your competitive edge because of those, individuals. And you never know. Those that may not present themselves as the dominant or the exquisite or the exclusive or, the big person in the beginning, it doesn't necessarily mean that they don't have something to contribute. It just, that's just like with startup companies or whatever. They may start, or even underdogs. That's basically where I'm getting with this. It's like even underdogs, they may start, with absolutely nothing, but with just that one good push, who knows what they could be made. It's just like planting a seed in a sense. I mean, plants turn into trees. And I see a lot of sayings about, the planting of a seed turning into germinating into a tree. And the point is that, well, what his players and what his teammates decided to do was say, hey, well, for one, this is professional sports. You're here for a reason, clearly. And I mean, that's not always the case, but we want to get you involved. We think you have potential, and apparently they were doing pretty well in practices. It was just a fear and lack of trust, or a plentiful of fear and a lack of trust, in order to bring that out and implement that and plant that into a game. And finally, when they encouraged him to do it and said, man, why not go for it? All of a sudden, he helped him out. And what those star players' talents brought to the plate, it brought them up to a point that was upstanding and able to withhold their position and where they were. However, with his addition, basically what he was able to bring with him being able to play good, he helped them out to where they were able to win even better than what they did before. So that just kind of goes to show you that's also a community investment, because as a team, you are a community. On the floor, you are a community. On the field, you are a community. Everybody is a substantial piece in a sense. They may not be looked at as that. They may not even present themselves as that, but they are a substantial piece. Everybody is a substantial piece. Everybody is somebody. Everybody has something about them that is special, and investing is a big part of that. So, if anyone has any additional thoughts about this, you know what to do. I'm here for all conversations, anything regarding topics, or any further inquiries you might want to even discuss about. But I just, investing was a great topic that I really thought, I wanted to speak about. I just been hearing a lot about how, just even, reading the news and, especially like, I wouldn't just say sports in general, just like, well, sports news, just hearing, amazing stories about how, you know, not even just professionally. This could be, at lower levels where people and become great, players become great simply because somebody decides to believe in them and they uplift them and they simply, it just does the better for them in a sense. And I mean, sometimes all it takes is just that one person. I personally had that in my life a lot, where I've had a few people that have had invested in me after, so many investments in myself, and they actually encourage even more investments in myself. And I have, tried to build, I try to build others around me as well. Like, it just, it's a great thing to do, just as a citizen in a sense. I mean, you either grow together or you grow apart. I wouldn't necessarily say grow apart, but I mean, it's you just you can say stuck in a certain place, you know, forever if you want, or you can expand. I wanted to say explode, but it's not really the right thing to. But I mean, you kind of get the idea of what I'm saying. Like, I mean, so it's just, but yeah, simply without further ado, um, I'm trying to think of any more concluding things that I have to really say about it. And um, that's really about it. Just interesting topic. Go invest in the world. Invest in yourself. Invest in those around you, and just invest. However that may be. You might invest in things right now that you may or may not be aware of, and if you do, congratulations to you. I mean, I think it's a wonderful thing to do, and it's nothing wrong with blessing others in a sense. But with all that being said, you know, stay polished. You know, stay positive. Keep a good outlook on life. Invest in others. Invest in yourselves. And I see y'all back here for the next episode when we return on Dappercast with Cam. And once again, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please let me know. However, you might best be able to reach me. In a sense, you can also subscribe, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time on Tappercast. So long for now. Thank you again for tuning in.